some of the things that are happening in our lives. We both just had doctor's appointments, which is always scary. Some of you don't know, I went through cancer several years ago, so I had a doctor's appointment on yesterday, which was Tuesday.
Monday. Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday? Darn. So I had a doctor's appointment on Monday, and I was really scared because I don't know if this has happened to you, but they called me on Friday afternoon, like before they were closing the office, to tell me that I had an appointment for the 11th. And they were like, the doctor wants to move your appointment up.
To Monday.
To Monday. But they didn't tell me why.
They wouldn't tell you why.
Yeah, and of course, you ask, and it's never like, and I've said this in presentations, like they never call you back because it's good news. There's always something going on.
Yeah, so, there's a reason they get like all of a sudden go from relaxed to urgent.
Yes. So I was all weekend long. I even gained like 1.5 pounds because I was so stressed out. I was eating a lot.
I gained 1.5 pounds.
But it was not a good thing. Luckily,
it was a good meeting though.
Yeah, luckily I have a really good doctor, Dr. No, over at Laguna Beach Community Clinic. Basically, my diabetes is a little high, but it was really high a while back. So he doesn't know that it actually went down, but it went down.
Like 6-7 points.
Something like that,
it was the A1C reading that he's talking about.
Yeah, so it went down, actually went down like 3 points where it is now.
Because it's at 10.
10, and we wanted it at 6.
He wants it at 6.5 to 7.
So I'm about to go on a new diet. I don't want to look at it as a diet. I don't know if you guys...
We are changing the way we look at food.
Right. I don't know if you guys believe in diets. I don't believe in diets. I believe that if I hold myself back from eating, it'll just make me want to eat more. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we're gonna change the way we eat. So we stopped eating fried foods a while back. We really don't eat fried foods anymore.
Sorry, I did not get very good sleep last night.
How you doing? Hi, welcome to the show, guys. We're checking out a new camera, and we're just gonna try it out. So this is the new vision of Lilmesican Productions and everything we do. Mm-hmm. But we also have a cards. So if you want us to pull a card for you, we'll do that too. Because little known fact, I know. Oh, we finished talking about doctors. So yes, we're just out changing the way we eat, and Christian just got a new doctor too. So
I have a third doctor now.
Yes.
My primary care physician is going to change because I learned today I'm not happy with her. And there's some drugs I've been taking that might be doing more harm than good. And they are preventing me from losing weight. Ironically enough, even though she keeps telling me you need to lose weight and she keeps me on a pill that keeps me heavier. So how effed up is that? That pissed me off. And then my doctor today, who works in the same company, said the same thing. Like, that doesn't make sense. Why would she do that? Oh, like, I have an answer for that other than laziness.
But don't you find that a lot of people are scared of changing doctors? Like, they're afraid.
I am. Because you feel like you finally you have a relationship with this person. And that relationship helps you to feel a little more comfortable and, like, easier to be honest with them when they ask you the hard questions like, why are you so fat? Why you this? Why you that? And you don't mind answering it because you have what I call a fake friendship with them. You feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And every time I change doctors, it's like, you have to get to know that person.
What made you feel like that? Like, do you feel like you're insulting them if you change, or?
Yeah, I feel like and what it is, and it's funny because they don't give a S whether you're with them or not. And I'll tell you why, particularly if you're in an HMO. Not PPO. PPO could be a little different, but I still don't think they care. But they don't ultimately care because they have plenty of patients who want to get with them and who want to have them as their PCP, primary care physician. And the one less patient means they have that much easier a job on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm saying that it was weird.
So, no, the doctors don't take it personally at all usually unless you have some incredible true friendship going with them. And some people do because they maybe if you're in a small town, something like that. But no, in in today's world, particularly in an HMO, like I'm with Kaiser, ha 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 he he, criticisms all aside. It's a huge organization, and particularly in LA, and they don't care. I don't think she'll probably be relieved because I'm a horrible patient.
But we have to. She was sometimes, and I learned this through advocacy. You have to learn. You have to educate yourself and walk in with questions. Because how much of a difference did it make that you went with me to my doctor yesterday?
And look at all the knowledge I get.
And you were able to ask him questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to your doctor, and you were able to ask him ask her the same questions.
Well, today I was able to ask the same questions to my new doctor. She's not my new PCP. She's my now I have. Not only do I have a PCP doctor, a primary care physician, I have a gastrointestinal specialist, and now I have a bariatric specialist, which is really diet. Well, not diet, but diet and bariatric surgery. She's an expert on weight gain and weight loss.
But do you think you were more confident today because you were prepared?
Because I talked to your doctor yesterday. Like, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have had the questions I had today. And the fact that she agreed with my questions, I go, well, I don't know why you're on this. It doesn't make sense. She goes, we need to do your blood work. So I went and did my blood work finally. Now, understand, I'm a horrible patient. It's been 2 years since my last blood test, and it's been over a year, almost 2 years since my last visit with my primary care physician. So one, you could see why she wouldn't care, because I'm like the crummy patient. Like, I don't mind passing him off to someone else. If he doesn't want me, goodbye. And I warn doctors early on. I tell them, I'm a terrible patient. I'm a terrible patient because I'm dumb and I like doing harm to myself, apparently.
Now, interesting enough, I'm a member also of the Wisdo app. If you don't know about it, check it out. It's an app. You have to download it, WISDO, and it's all patient advocacy stuff. This morning, the conversation that I had this morning on phone, which is why I couldn't go with him to the doctor, was about...
Yeah, I had to go alone.
Which was...
I was crying.
Well, it was about taking responsibility and taking control of the appointment. It's like you're walking in for your health. You're not walking in there to make your doctor feel better, and the doctor's not in there to like learn really from you.
You figure each doctor has a ton of patients, more than they can handle.
Right.
They always are going to have more than they can handle because no HMO or PPO or any company, any organization is going to hire enough people to do the work.
Right.
So they're not. She doesn't. When I have an appointment with her, I have been doing myself and her a disservice by going in there with absolutely no research. I could have figured out what was going on with my drug regimen on my own. I could have looked up each one and saw the side effects. But I didn't. And I just relied on her to do her job and do it well. And unfortunately, it doesn't mean she didn't do her job well. It doesn't mean she did it good either. But it doesn't mean she didn't do it well. She did the best she could with an uncooperative patient who doesn't seem to want to even take initiative to take care of themselves.
That's a big difference. So a couple of things that we talked about.
And I've never said that till this moment. So I realized I have only shown her that I don't want to take care of myself, and she can't force me to take care of me.
Yeah, you were a submissive patient,
mm-hmm.
and she was in control. When actually you should walk into your doctor's appointment with you in control, because it's your body, it's your health. You know what's going on,
and you're paying for it.
And the doctor should kind of follow your lead. And
I think they do. They want to.
Yeah, one of the things that I learned, I went to a presentation earlier for neuropathy, and but the idea is to get better that you don't need as many medications, not to go and find out what medications are going to make you feel better. Because in the long run, the medications don't work anymore. You become resistant, and they're not going to work anymore. So the idea is to work with your doctor to get off medication. Yes, to get off medications.
Not as you're the doctor, I'm the patient, and you tell me what to do and I do it. Because I don't think they like submissive patients like me. And thank you, Brenda. You're absolutely right. And I'm sorry you had to learn that with your son. That I can't. I don't know specifics and I don't need to. I hate that you learned that with your son because that's a hard lesson to learn. It's crummy. I'm learning it with me. So
if you didn't read what she says, what I've learned from my son is that you have to educate yourself, like Daniel says, and advocate and demand what you want done.
Because they won't do it.
Yeah. Totally agree with you.
How many
Thank you.
things? How many things?
She's my cousin. Hi, Brenda.
You know, Brenda, and it's funny, or everyone, it's funny. When I was a caretaker for Daniel, I was a freaking bulldog.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what he needed. I looked it up online. I did the research. I'm an academic, so it's natural for me to research things and get knowledge.
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's always been my job, acquire knowledge.
And you actually know more about my condition than
I know more about Daniel's health
which is not good.
than I know about my own. I know the drugs he takes. I know what every single one of them does, but I don't know mine.
Yeah.
Like, I look at mine. So I'm just like, okay, Christian, you need to start treating yourself like I need to be a caretaker for me,
Right.
and stop being a caretaker for anyone else. Because I'm also a compulsive overeater. I'm a food addict. Like, just like an alcoholic, I use food instead of drugs. And water water addict. Yeah. No, I use then liquor,
Fish.
then liquor, and because of that, being an addict, I naturally always want to take care of other people because then it takes the attention off of me.
Yeah.
I don't have to look at the fact that I gained 80 pounds. I don't have to look at the fact that any number of things that happen. I'm diabetic, that I'm all these other things. And I no longer have that excuse because this guy's healthy and losing weight, not even trying. Oh, I gained a weight and a half.
But there's a lot of stress that goes on in the way I lose weight, too.
Yeah. And then on top of being, as a caretaker, it's...
Brenda says it's funny how we were like that with someone we love than ourselves.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And we're supposed to love ourselves first.
Yeah.
I mean, RuPaul says it every time she
And if
shoots
RuPaul says
anything.
it, then it's gotta be
I mean,
true.
I know RuPaul's not an expert, but, if you can't love yourself, how the heck you going to love somebody else?
Well,
and that's true.
Before we run out of time, or before
Thank
I
you,
forget,
Brenda.
some of the things that on the Wisdo, again, if you are not familiar with Wisdo app, check it out. If you're a patient, if you have a condition, go check it out. You will find something that you can associate with. But some of the things that we were talking about, how to be better prepared for doctor's appointments, is number one, it's supposed to be a conversation with your doctor, not being told what to do, not being ordered, not dictating how you're going to handle this. This is a collaboration. He's helping you to get healthier.
Or she.
The doctor is helping you to stay healthier. So it should be a conversation. If he's doing all the talking, then something is wrong in that
They
appointment.
are doing all the talking. She. Or
Can you spell that app? Yes, the app is WISDO, Wisdo. And I'll put it on there in a minute so you guys can check it out. And it's an app. You can't go on your laptop. You have to go on the app. And I host every Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I host a 15-minute conversation on being a better advocate. So one of the things is walking in, and Christian saw this yesterday with my doctor. We have conversations. He tells me, and this is the second point, he tells me, hey, this is what I would want you to do. And I am honest with him and saying, this I will do because I can. This is not going to happen because of such reason. Not because I don't want
Not
to.
because he's being defiant. He's
Right.
just being honest.
Right.
Like my life, my career, and the way my career, the way I work, is not conducive to what you just said you want me to do.
Because one of his points was like having oatmeal or eggs every morning for breakfast. First of all, I'm not a big breakfast person, so I don't normally eat. And second, my schedule is so crazy that I normally don't have time to sit down for a breakfast. But I have done my best. Today I did have some coffee, and that was pretty much exact. We're working on the oatmeal. I do like oatmeal. We're just working on
I do
that.
too.
So number one, have a conversation with your doctor. It should be a conversation. Number two, walk in with questions. And I know sometimes we write questions and we put them in our pocket and we forget, or you write them down on your phone and you forget. My idea is most phones have a timer on your text. So time your text so that it comes in while you're in your appointment. So say your appointment's at 3 o'clock. At about 3:15, you should get a text from yourself saying, hey, these are the questions that you want to bring up. So that helps me because I will forget. I'll forget that I have questions. And if you are multi-symptoms or multi-conditions like me, because usually when I walk in, it's to talk about my HIV, we're talking about my cancer, post-cancer stuff, we're talking about diabetes, my colostomy. So we're talking about a lot of things when I go into. So it can get overwhelming. So the idea is you text yourself, put it on a timer, and then make sure that that text comes in while you're in the appointment. So then when you get that text, you're like, oh, I have these questions. So again, the 3 points so far are, it should be a conversation, text yourself, and you're in this together. And then I kind of forget what the other one was, but I'm very sarcastic. I'm very ha 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 with my doctors. So if I find a doctor that I can't laugh with, if I find a doctor that I can't chat with, he's probably not going to work with me. And before I continue, for those of you joining us, this was a random check. We have this camera, and I've had it for a couple of years. We hadn't used it, so we're trying to set it up for our shows. So we tried it out. So that's why the thing says Lilmesican Productions test. But
it was okay. It wasn't that bad.
We're there you go, random. So again, for everybody joining us, this was just a test. It was Lilmesican Productions. We're just testing out, letting everybody know that Lilmesican Productions is getting trademarked. We're finally going to have our name to ourselves. So we're really excited about that. Second, we want to do more videos and more live feeds with Christian and I, not only chatting about our relationships and things that we go through, but also to bring out the cards, because people have been asking for us to do card shows again. So so much easier than my notebook. I write down questions for my son's multiple specialties. Seeing all those doctors can be very stressful sometimes. Yeah.
It's tough.
So writing down in text, and again, set the timer for about when you're going to be in the doctor's office.
Like, I just learned that you could do that. Like, I didn't know my phone, we're on Android phones, Samsung Note 9. I didn't know that you could schedule text even to yourself to come through, which, I mean, what a great way to do it during a doctor's visit. Even if you have it on just vibrate, it'll jolt you out of your submissiveness and into if you put the information you want to remind yourself to ask about, it's like, oh my God, I could ask this. And it just keeps you on track. That's really, you're kind of smart sometimes.
Every once in a while, I get an idea. Every once in a while. Tacos, brain food. So for those of you joining us, this was just a random test for our camera, but it's turned kind of to an advocacy training class. So if you have ideas on how you handle your doctor's appointments or how you become a better, and one of the words that's been changing is in advocacy is, we're not patients, we're clients. We walk in as clients because we're using a service, whether you pay for it or insurance pay for it.
I was going to say, ultimately, you're paying for the service to see a doctor. You're paying for it. If you're not paying for it directly to the hospital or the doctor, you're paying for it with your job. Yeah. Like, they take it out of your paycheck. It's not whatever you were told that you're going to be paid, $60,000 a year. Part of that paycheck that you don't get that equals that $60,000 is your medical and dental and. People forget you're paying for it no matter what.
So from the moment walking into a clinic, a doctor's office, from the moment you walk in, you are there to. Oh, excuse me, that was Tommy. Pardon me, guys. The colostomy every once in a while. Tommy, the colostomy every once in a while wants to make an appearance. He was like, "You're not talking about me." So yes, one of the other conditions I have is my colostomy, which.
Which we've learned to laugh at.
Yes,
it could be cute.
Tommy plays the trumpet.
He does have his own.
So the moment you walk into the doctor's office, you are a client. You're there for a service. Don't feel embarrassed because you're walking into the doctor's office. They don't know you any favors. You are there to get a service.
All things considered, yes. Not everywhere you go where you're a client do you end up taking off your clothes or taking off your shoes and socks and everything. But one of the amazing things is, it's such a paradigm shift to think about yourself. If you're a client, if I think of myself as a patient, I don't think I have a lot of rights, even though patients have a huge list of rights. But I don't think of myself that way. But if you say you're a client or a customer, I'm not one of those people who takes being a customer lightly. No. I'm one of those people who's like, if I know I should be given a certain number of services, they better happen.
Imagine you went to go shop and you ordered a very specific pair of shoes, and then you got home and they were the wrong color, wrong size, and wrong style. You would go back there
and be angry.
So if you go in there and they give you the wrong medication, the wrong treatment.
Or if they keep you on a medication that is preventing you from losing weight when they keep telling you to lose weight.
So that's important. So make sure that, again, the moment you walk in, you're a client. And not demand, but assume they're going to respect you. Second, you are there to have a conversation with your doctor. Yes, they are specialists in the scientific part, but you're a specialist in your body. You know what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
So that...
And, you know, don't doubt your intuitive nature when, you know, we know, I don't know how to explain it. I can't. But there is some part of us that always knows when something's not quite right in our body. When something's not quite working right. Thank you, Brenda. That's very sweet. Thank you. Because I've ignored that. And I think Daniel has had a history of ignoring that little feeling that something more is going on than what it looks like or what it seems like. And I'll bring up an example. My father, who passed away a year ago, he didn't pass away from this, but many, many, many years ago, he had prostate cancer. And he felt something was wrong. He didn't have any symptoms. Nothing was showing. His blood work was fine. But he just felt there was something wrong. And he specifically said, there's something wrong with my prostate. I feel like something's happening. And the doctor, it took him like about 6 months, I think, to convince the doctor just do the test. They went in and they did a biopsy and they found cancer. It was early. In today's world, they'd call it stage 0. He wasn't even at stage 1. It was just barely starting on his prostate. But by the time they would have found it, if he had never said anything, it might have been, terminal, like stage 4 or greater, or it might have metastasized. So he listened to his inner voice, and my dad was the least intuitive, least in touch with his body person I've ever known.
Yeah.
But he knew something was wrong, and he insisted. He went into the doctor, did the research. He was a teacher, so he was an academic himself. He went in and he argued with his doctor. I mean, admittedly, his doctor wasn't the best doctor in the world either, but he still went in and fought with him to get that procedure, which was expensive. And they don't want to spend money if they don't on a needless procedure, but they did, and he never had a regret because it probably gave him another 20, 30 years of life when he might not have had that long.
So you need to trust yourself, knowing that something's wrong. Because again, your doctor's going up your charts, and if you went in for blood work and then they say come back in 2 weeks, but in those 2 weeks something's adjusted in your body, something's changed in your body, you need to bring that up. So that's where the conversation is. You're not there to be dictated to. You're there to have a conversation.
Like today, I actually told my new doctor that for some reason, I even shared with her that my sense of smell has become so heightened that it's like everything makes me retch a little. Like if it's not a scent I like, it's like the lightest cooking scent in the house. Like, and much to Daniel's chagrin, he really hates it. That I try not to react. I try to just let everything go through me. But the lightest scent, the lightest smell, just is like super intense to me. It's like, oh my God, can you smell that? You can't smell that? It's like I can't breathe. It's so much. And she said, part of I have gastrointestinal mitoplasia. She said part of that is this heightened sense of smell comes with it. It's part of my disease that I have that I won't get rid of. So I guess, and I told her, I laughed. I go, I guess I'm like a pregnant woman. My sense of smell is super, super, super powerful now.
Yeah. And so it becomes annoying sometimes. But for those of you joining us, again, this was just a random test. We were just going to test out the camera, probably pull some cards out, but it actually turned out into an advocacy conversation. And thank you, Brenda, for all your input, all your comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those of you following Lilmesican Productions, it's becoming legit. Hopefully in the future we'll have a Chris and Daniel show where we can talk about card readings, intuitiveness. We can talk about health issues because we both suffer from different stuff. We're just going to go along with it, see what happens. But this has turned into an advocacy hour. We talked about Wisdo, which is an app for clients, patients, It's a patient advocacy app, so check it out, WISDL. I will put the link on in a little bit so that you guys can see it.
But no, it's an app, so
it's an app, yes.
You won't be able to find it on a laptop. You'll have to be on your phone or an iPad or some type of pad, but it won't be or a Surface, but it won't be a regular laptop.
Right, and every Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I host a 15 to 20 minute session where we talk about a topic, and it's all texting, all messaging threads. So the pointers that we had was, number one, you walk into an office as a client and make sure that you
into a doctor's office.
Into a doctor's office. Yeah, don't.
Any office.
Don't walk into the office and go, hey, you got to treat me. Yeah. But
you go into a Hertz Railcar office, they might look at you weird when you're all, I don't want to be on this medication anymore. And they're like, whatever it is, you need to double it.
Sure. We'll call 911 for you.
Yes, well.
But when you walk into your doctor's office, remember you're a client and you have not just the rights that are on the paper, but you have the right to express yourself
and to question everything they say to you.
But always politely.
Yes, with
remember
respect.
that honey gets the flies, so don't be a shit.
Honey gets the flies. That's great.
And what they say? Honeys get the bees, or honey gets the flies? You know what I'm talking about. It's a saying.
You attract more flies with honey than...
Well, isn't that what I said in just less words?
Yeah, just don't be a shit. I kind of like that part.
And
that's funny.
Remember, you have to have a relationship. You have a relationship with your doctor. So if you can't laugh and you don't feel comfortable and you're always intimidated... Yeah, if you're intimidated or nervous or scared of your doctor, he's not your doctor.
She.
It's not your doctor.
You're so male-centric with doctors.
And personally, it's because I really just prefer male doctors.
And what's funny, ironically, I prefer female doctors.
I like, and that's a preference. I like male doctors versus females. Because I can talk about, ever since cancer, there's more male-specific issues that I want to talk about.
I can talk about anything with my doctors just as well as you could talk with your doctors.
Yes.
I could talk about ED. I could talk about lack of this, lack of that. I could talk about my testicles, because you know what? They went to school to learn about all that.
Wayne, hi Wayne, is saying you attract more flies with honey. Well, that's what I said. That's what I said.
And then he said, just don't be a shit, which is kind of cute.
You get more. What did I say?
You attract more. Well, you didn't say that. You said it wrong. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you, Rich. Thank you, Wayne.
If you walk in with honey, you attract more flies.
Oh, dear Lord. So we're not advocating walking into your doctor's office covered in honey, because then you might get a nice psych consult.
That's a total different doctor's office. A total different thing. But walk in nice.
Walk in knowledgeable.
Ask for what you want. Do your homework before you go there. Text yourself a message that's going to appear when you're there with some of the questions that you might forget, because sometimes we get overwhelmed.
Because think about it, even if you see your doctor twice a year, every 6 months, which if you're diabetic or have an ongoing condition, usually they want to see you twice a year minimum, just to check in. If you really sit down and give it the energy and the thought, you can come up with at least give yourself 2 or 3 questions to ask that you really are curious about.
Yeah.
Because how in 6 months have you not come up with something like, my body's doing this, my body's doing that, or I'm feeling this after I take the pills, is that normal? Anything. Just make sure you go in prepared, because it puts you in a different mindset.
Yeah.
You're not a slave to what they're saying anymore.
It's like Kirk and Spock together.
Like my gastroenterologist, for the first time ever, Daniel told me, go research your condition before you go into that appointment. I did. I think it was one of the best doctor's appointments I've ever had, because I think he was impressed and really happy that we didn't go in there, duh.
Because you're not completely lost on the terminologies.
Right.
Or the conditions or the symptoms.
Or the research that's being done about it.
If you walk in without any knowledge, everything is just going to fly over you. Oh, and then the other thing, when you can, take somebody with you.
Not him. I take him.
Yeah. Well, I did this morning because I had something to do.
Yes, because he had more important things than me to do.
Well, I couldn't do you this morning, so but when possible, take somebody. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family member, a friend.
And again, I cried all the way there, by the way. I was sitting in LA traffic crying.
Tony says, But the patient's diagnosed by giving all the symptoms. The doctor just hands out the prescriptions. Right? Yeah.
No. But you have that's where you have to have a discussion with them, not me dictating. I looked up on Google Doctor, and Google says I have this, and this, and I need this, and that. You know, you need to still be your own. You need to be your own advocate.
But to follow up what you just said, that was my next point. Is sometimes we're so scared to tell our doctors, "Hey, I've been taking this other medication for this," or you know what, I had a cold 2 weeks ago, or I've been really stressed. I just changed jobs. I just moved to a new house. I got a dog. I got a cat. All these things do matter in your treatment. Because remember during chemo, when I was on chemo, I couldn't do my HIV medications because they were kind of act. So I had to let my doctor know, my primary care doctor, that chemo said you can't take this anymore.
That your oncologist said you can't take these.
So he would be aware that my numbers were going to be off for like the next 6 months because I couldn't do that.
And like right now, I'm just going to call her my weight loss doctor, is now going through the system. She's telling my primary care doctor, we need to get him off of these certain drugs because they're causing him to maintain and gain weight because that's a side effect. And we want this particular patient, this particular client needs to lose weight. Yeah. And we're inhibiting him from doing so with medication.
But there's a lot of things, even having a new partner, getting into new relationships, changing jobs, all that stuff like affects your energy. It affects your stress levels, your anxiety. Your schedule can change the way medication reacts to you. Say, for instance, like I take my medications at night. It's at midnight almost every night. Up or down an hour, half an hour. But if I all of a sudden worked a graveyard shift and I wasn't taking my medications at midnight, but I'm taking them during the day, and because it's noisier during the day, I'm not sleeping well, all that is going to make a big difference in how treatment is going to work for my system. And your doctor needs to know that. And sometimes we don't talk about these things. Maybe you did have unprotected sex once during that time and you got an STD. That's really important because that's going to mess with your...
And that's where, you need to go in. That's, again, maybe you'll forget that by the time you have your... Because there's people who only meet with their doctor once a year for a physical. And maybe you will forget, I had chlamydia or I had gonorrhea or some other STI in between our visits, and it affected my medications and what I could and couldn't take. Like with my gastrointestinal mitoplasia, I couldn't take my diabetic medicine, and I couldn't take a lot of my meds that I usually take because they would just come right back up. They wouldn't stay down, and they'd make me feel worse. So I have to let my primary care physician know when I get there that this is what happened.
Yeah. Tony wrote in Spanish, for those of you, tea for the cough, and and eggs for bad eye, for the mean eye, for somebody who does. Yes. So if you guys see huevitos on there, it's not what it's supposed to be. So in kind of rounding it out, what we're talking about. Number one, if you can take somebody with you to an appointment, take somebody with you. Number two, you walk in there as a client. So make sure that they respect you, your time, and your concerns.
And respect theirs.
Yeah. It's a two-way street.
By doing the research and not going in dumb, you actually are respecting their time.
Because now you don't walk in with a little chip on your shoulder like they're going to pull one over on you, or they're going to give you the bad treatment or bad medications or whatever. So take somebody with you. Be there on time. Be prepared with your questions. Text yourself the questions so you have them available when you're in the appointment. Make sure that the doctor you have, because we just both changed doctors, make sure that your new doctor you can talk to, laugh with, have a conversation with. This is not a dictatorship. This is collaboration with your doctor.
But most of us let it become a dictatorship where we're going, I'll just, whatever the doctor tells me, I'll do.
Yes.
And the doctors, I don't think they want that, actually.
Especially the Latino community. People in the Latino community were so scared of contradicting our doctors. But sometimes they need to be more aware of what's going on. Be honest with your doctor.
And we learned that lesson the hard way with that horrible doctor you had for 10
Yes,
seconds.
I had after my primary care physician that I had for like
Retired.
8 years, retired Dr. Lochner, which I love him and I miss him so much. But after he left, it took me 2 doctors to get to where I am now.
With a great doctor.
Yeah, and Dr. No there in Laguna Beach Community Clinic is really awesome. He laughs with me. We can banter each other. We get down to business and we talk about it.
He gets it. He brings it back to serious if he needs to.
Yeah, but he knows that in my laughter, I'm asking questions and I'm paying attention. So your doctor needs to know the real you. Don't change who you are when you walk in the doctor, because
I did. I became this passive little. Whatever you tell me, I'll do. Whatever you want, I'll do. You just tell me. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
That is so not me. Like in everyday life, I'm like, no, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it that way. I got that from my dad. My way is the best way, even though it's not always. But I do listen to my doctor. But I was just letting her lead the ship, which is why I think she's been so lackadaisical in her approach. Because she's like, you don't seem to care enough to do anything for yourself, so what can I do for you?
Yeah.
Because they can't make you want to take care of yourself.
Yeah. So this is, again, I guess, for those of you watching, this is, I guess, the first episode of the Chris and Daniel show.
Or
What started off as just testing our new camera.
Which we love.
It turned into an advocacy conversation. We want to thank y'all for joining us and for your, Brenda, thank you for all your comments and your points.
And by the way, in case you ever see, I look ridiculous, so I keep on looking up from the camera like I'm looking at angels or spirits walking by. I'm not. We're actually in my bedroom, and my front window faces the street, and right now it's high traffic time for people going home from work, and there's some really amazing cars passing by, and I'm a car guy, so I'm like, ooh, a Porsche, ooh, this, and ooh, look at that. And
he's looking at the cars.
It cracks me up because I realize I look like a little kid looking up at the stars, like, oh.
He looking at the cars, and I'm looking at the monitor to make sure that I look good in front of the camera. That's my only concern.
Of course, that's his primary concern.
We want to thank y'all for joining us. I guess the pilot, the test.
Yeah, that's really our test.
The Chris and Daniel show.
We'll try to do more cards and some intuitive work in the future. This was so
random,
off the cuff, and the doctor thing is so fresh for both of us since we literally had back-to-back doctor's appointments this week, which is very rare for us.
So follow us each on our own page, or you can follow the Daniel G Garza fan page, so you can find out when we're going to be on the air and what we're going to be talking about.
You have a fan page?
I have a fan page.
Aye.
I know. How did that
happen?
Me?
Daniel with a fan page? Someone's so humble.
Me with an ego? Where did that come from?
How could that happen? Dear Lord, no. Don't tell me.
Shut up! Trying to look good in front of our friends.
I don't know if that's possible, my love.
Yes, well, I am naming the show test. We did a pregnancy test, and we're not pregnant, so we want to share that with you.
Yeah.
Wayne is saying if we named the show test.
Test.
Yes, we did a pregnancy test before the show. We are not pregnant.
We're doing a pregnancy test every time we do a show.
And here's Maury Povich. Yeah. But you are not the father.
And you are not pregnant.
But yes, we'll come back and do some more live shows with you guys. We'll bring out the cards. Maybe we'll show you some pendulum work.
Oh yeah, I haven't done that.
We are both going on a. We're changing the way we eat, and as much fun as we made of all our friends that were on diets, we're gonna maybe experiment some of our foods and see how we can change what we normally would eat into something a little more healthier.
We tried to do it last night. Kind of backfired on us. We went to this Indian restaurant that I've gone to, and the food is good. It's not bad food, but we went. I don't know how, but somehow we had the universal timing to go there at the worst moment when they're the busiest. If we had waited an hour and gone there, it would have been like 10 minutes, and we would have been in and out. But no, we sat there for like 40 minutes waiting for our food to be done because they had so many phone orders and computer orders come in right before we got there.
But I couldn't just eat off of what was already prepared.
Oh, yes, that we need to note that because I usually just get what they have prepared in their buffet type thing.
This is the first time I went with Christian, so he orders off the line. They have this like cafeteria style,
like some basics that are pre.
And I ordered off the menu, and
everything
everything else would have taken like 10 minutes.
He had to get the custom order.
Well, because It said shish kebabs, and everything I know about shish kebabs, don't shish kebabs already come like the piece of meat, and they just sear it and it's ready to go. But
I never think it's that simple. But
apparently, this was like a sausage, and it went in the oven, and it took like 30 minutes for us to get it.
Oh, good one, Tony.
And it was about. Tony says he wants us to talk about alternative medicine.
Daniel is kind of into that.
Yeah.
I've been into it a little bit, but Daniel really kind of, I think, is the CBD oil and products.
We have friends that sell CBD.
Yes, they
so
do.
We actually should.
And we did voiceover work for him, too.
Yeah, we can go and talk to them and maybe get one of them. We'll do a show from there.
Or at the very least, we could just get the information.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that. There's a lot of things that really do help.
I use arnica gel. Like right now, if I happen to get sick, there's some muscle that gets pulled in my left lower quadrant of my back, and it ends up affecting my hip. Like if I literally can't walk almost. I'm hobbling around. I put some arnica gel on, and arnica gel is 100% natural, holistic pain reliever, and it works for arthritis, everything. I used it on my mom when she was really having pains when she had dementia.
Yeah.
And I put that on last night, and I'm able to lay on this bed like this with one of my legs curled up, the leg that was so sore I couldn't even move it, and because of the arnica gel. It lasts for about 4 hours at a time or more. I usually just put it on at night, and for some reason it lasts me the whole next day. Like, I have had almost no pain today.
And I really like when I get a cough, I use my humidifier with essential oils to help me.
Tree.
And then there are some oils that I put on that I wear that are really good for my anxiety and to relax me.
I don't like how they smell. He knows that. But then my sniffer's pretty good.
Yes, and they smell good. But some of them are just because I like the way they smell. But some of them are when I have anxiety, or when I have a migraine, or when we're gonna travel.
Yeah,
I'll put them on so that I don't get stressed, and then I'll be sniffing my hands through the.
And it looks really weird because he's like. And people are like, ew, he's smelling his hand. Where's it been? That's disgusting.
You didn't care for the CBD? I wonder what you use. If you can answer before we get off the air.
You know, Reg, and I'll kind of agree with you. I didn't react well to CBD. It didn't do a lot for me. I know a lot of people it works well for. We've met quite a few people, but
yeah, I'm not really great with the drops because I can't stand the aftertaste.
Oh.
But I will use the creams.
And you use the spice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a CBD chili powder, like Mexican chili powder, and I use that on fruit.
On your
usually watermelon or orange juice. I love doing this. I will get fresh squeezed orange juice, and I'll put a whole bunch of the CBD chili powder in it, and mix it around and put it in the freezer. And then I'll eat it, and it's really, for me, it's really good. On jicama or watermelon or oranges, I can't eat oranges much, but I'll put the chili powder on oranges, and it's chili powder.
And I'll admit, he doesn't get stoned or anything, but it does help him. He kind of drifts off to sleep. He usually take a nap. It really does relax him.
Yeah.
But like I said, for me, it didn't have that effect. It didn't relax me. I just felt yucky. So I don't use them either. I don't use them, but not because they don't work. I just don't use them because they don't work for me. And that's the thing with holistic medicine. It may not work for everyone. Everyone's body reacts differently. Like, I use arnica gel, and it does amazing work on me.
And I don't understand.
I put some on Daniel, and it may do it for him. It's like maybe an hour, and then he's like right back to like it didn't work. And that's just the difference between our bodies. So it's interesting how it can work like that. But I totally believe there's holistic answers to almost everything.
Yeah, but I know people who like.
I don't advocate anything, but I just
say vaping or the drops. I know there's flavored ones now. I'm gonna have to get a hold of Brian and
Jessica.
Oh my God! Why did I just forget your name?
Anyway, our friends who own Illumina.
They actually own a company. They make their own CBD oils. We'll have to get Allison Ryan. Brooks. Okay, all I could think about was her last name, Brooks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. The oils, I do get a little bit of like.
That was me too.
And one of the reasons I don't do anxiety pills or depression or
And he doesn't do holistic or prescription. He has the prescription,
Yeah.
but he doesn't do prescription or anything for anxiety because it makes him muddy. I call it muddy.
Yeah.
It's just like he's very unclear. He's slower.
I sleep
And he sleeps way
forever.
Too much.
And then it doesn't let me work on all the stuff that I want to work on.
Like being an actor and then being tired and sleepy all the time is not conducive.
Yeah. And then I trust my intuitiveness a lot. And
It totally does.
so
work.
I can't connect, and it bothers me when I can't connect. So that's really hard. So for everybody that joined us again, this is Little Mexican Productions test. It's the Chris and Daniel show. I guess this is our pilot.
As you can see, we have multiple false endings to our show.
Yes, because we have a lot that we want to talk about. But hopefully we'll be doing more shows. This was just a test, and it ended up being an advocacy conversation. I hope you got something out of it. Share it with your friends. Go over to the Daniel G Garza page and like it. I could use the likes. Or follow us on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and find me also on Daniel G Garza. And you'll see, most likely you'll see this video on there. We'll edit it. But it'll be on there. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm. I just realized I've been showing everyone my thinning hair spot. There's the vein, gay man.
We'll have to talk about our insecurities on the next episode. We have many. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everybody who commented. Please share this with your friends. Let them know that we're up in the air. And
up in the air. We're on the air.
We're on the air.
We're not up in the air.
We're honeys with flies. No
Yeah,
shit.
Honey with flies, and we're not being shits.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for doing this.
Okay, love you.
I love you too.
See you later, guys. Bye.